Hi, I have a story to tell you. A true story. It's about my little sister, Lily. She was diagnosed with cancer when she was only 8 years old. I still remember the day our lives changed forever. She was my best friend, my partner in crime. We would spend hours in her room laughing, playing make-believe, and building forts out of pillows. But as the treatments went on, she grew weaker, and I grew more terrified. Lily was so brave, always smiling no matter the pain she was in. It felt like hope was fading every day. I wanted to believe she would be okay, that we could go back to our carefree days of playing in the sunlight. But it didn't happen. The last time I saw her, she was lying in her hospital bed, frail and fragile. She smiled at me and whispered, "I'll always be with you." I held her hand, and I promised her I'd never forget. When Lily died, the world around me felt like it had shattered. The sound of silence was deafening. I felt hollow, like I was walking through a ghost town. Grief is a heavy blanket, and I had it wrapped tightly around me. But the very first night, something happened. I was lying in my bed, staring at the ceiling, when I heard giggling coming from her room. It was that unmistakable sound, her laughter, so bright and innocent. I froze, not sure if I should get up. It's just my imagination, I thought. But the giggles kept coming, echoing through the stillness of the house. I felt a mix of fear and longing, yearning for one last moment with her. I got out of bed and tiptoed down the dimly lit hallway. Each step felt heavier than the last. When I reached her door, I hesitated. The laughter continued, an enchanting melody wrapped in warmth. I pushed the door open slowly. What I saw knocked the breath out of me. Her room was as it had always been, filled with stuffed animals and colorful drawings hung on the walls. But it felt different, almost alive. There she was, Lily, sitting on the floor with her toys around her. It was as if time had folded back on itself. She looked just like she did when she was healthy. Her laughter echoed like a beautiful, haunting song. I wanted to rush to her, to hug her tightly, but something held me back. I could see through her, just slightly. I could see the world behind her, like she was a projection, a ghost of the sister I had known. "Lily," I whispered, my voice trembling. She turned to me, her smile radiant, and said, "Come play with me." But deep down, I felt a pit in my stomach. This wasn't my sister. This was something else. I wanted to run, but my feet felt glued to the floor. "What are you doing, Lily?" I asked, trying to sound brave. "I'm just playing," she giggled again, as if everything were normal. But I knew it wasn't. "I'm not ready to let you go," I said, my heart racing. The room darkened, shadows creeping in as her laughter turned unsettling, almost mocking. She looked at me with innocent eyes. I could still see the child I loved, but it felt drowned in something darker. "Stay with me," she pleaded. The sadness in her voice sent chills down my spine. Tears streamed down my cheeks as I took a step back. "I can't, Lily. You're gone." Suddenly her expression changed. The warmth faded and was replaced by something cold and unreadable. "Why don't you want to play?" "I'm still here," her voice echoed, sounding more distant, almost distorted. I stumbled back into the hallway, my heart pounding louder than ever. The laughter grew fainter, but the sense of dread clung to me like a shadow. I ran back to my room, locking the door behind me. I tried to convince myself I had imagined it, some kind of cruel trick my mind played on me in my grief. But the laughter lingered in my mind like a haunting memory, refusing to fade. Every night after that, I heard her laughter. Sometimes it was soft, sometimes it was joyous. And I would lie in bed, terrified, knowing I had glimpsed a side of death that I didn't want to understand. Then there were nights when her voice turned sinister, when she screamed for me, her cries echoing with isolation and fear. I would cover my ears and shut my eyes, wishing it all away. Weeks passed, and my parents noticed my fatigue. I told them I kept hearing things in her room, but they dismissed it. "You're just grieving." "It's normal," they reassured me. But I felt like I was losing my mind. One night, driven by desperation and curiosity, I crept back to her room. I had to see if I could confront whatever was lingering there. I opened the door slowly, heart racing. The room was still, but the air crackled with an electric tension. That's when I noticed something incredible. All her toys were arranged in a circle perfectly. It was as if they were waiting for me, inviting me into a cold game I didn't want to play. I could feel something watching me, pressing against my skin. And then, through the silence, came the soft whisper of her voice. "Come play with us." My skin crawled and I slammed the door shut, locking every memory of that night away. I began sleeping with lights on, seeking comfort in the glaring light, but it didn't erase the whispers. I could feel them wrapping around me, drawing me back into the memories I was trying to escape. I realized then that I wasn't merely grieving, I was tangled in something beyond my understanding. The more I resisted, the more the shadows grew. I felt Lily's presence, warm one moment and cold the next, a pull I couldn't shake. One night I fell asleep with my thoughts racing. I jerked awake to the sound of giggling right next to me, right in my ear. Paralyzed by fear, I could barely breathe. I turned, and for the briefest moment, I thought I saw her, my sister, in her hospital gown, staring at me. Her face was a mixture of joy and despair. "Why don't you come play?" she said again, her voice like velvet, but her eyes showed an unsettling restlessness. In that instant, I felt a chilling connection that said this was so much more than a mere visit. I couldn't take it anymore. I screamed, and in an instant, the laughter stopped. The room fell silent, but I could still feel her lingering presence. I rushed to my parents, panic rising in my throat. "She's haunting me," I pleaded. They held me, but the love in their eyes was mixed with concern. They thought I was spiraling into grief, and maybe I was, but I knew what I experienced was real. Lily hadn't just left. She was still here, waiting. Days turned to months, and while the visits tapered, the feeling of being watched never left. I learned to ignore the whispers in my ear and the shadows gliding past my peripheral vision, but they all belonged to her now. Then one day I found a box in the attic, old toys and pictures of Lily as a baby. I unwrapped a small music box, and when I played it, it began to turn. It played the lullaby I used to sing to her. Suddenly, her giggle pulled through the room, as if time curled back again. I don't know what came over me, but I closed my eyes and imagined her by my side. I missed her so much. That's when the whispers returned. They were sweet at first, nostalgic. "Stay with me. Play with me." But something else lurked behind them, a bitter, scraping undertone that churned my stomach. "Please, Lily," I said, desperation creeping into my voice. "I need you to go." But the more I resisted, the more urgent her voice became. "I'm lonely," it cried, and the sorrow felt like knives slicing through my heart. That night, I heard a new sound, the sound of her toys being played with, laughter echoing dimly across the hall. I could feel the coldness seeping into the walls. I had summoned something that I didn't understand. "Stay away," I yelled into the silence. "You're not her." The laughter stopped abruptly, casting a heavy shadow over me. The silence felt almost alive, a predator waiting to pounce. Then came a voice, cold and insistent, "But I'm not the one leaving." In that moment, I knew she was angry. I had failed her. I had betrayed the connection we once shared. To this day, as I tell you this story, I can hear her laughter in the distance. And while I have tried to convince myself it's just a product of grief, I can't shake the feeling that she's still here, playing, waiting. Some nights, I catch glimpses of her in reflections, shadows darting by, the echo of a child who was brighter than this darkened world. "Come play with me," she whispers, and it tugs at my heartstrings like a haunting song. But I know now that some connections come at a cost. I miss her, but I've learned to accept that sometimes love means letting go, letting the echoes of laughter fade into silence. So if you ever hear laughter in the night, if you feel a gentle tug at your heart, remember to treasure those memories. Keep them close, because sometimes the past doesn't rest. It lingers and entwines with our present, quietly watching, eternally playing.